You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take.
Plan. I'm the enemy. Because I like to think.
You can travel like a Bobby doll. You can hang out like a biker's mom. You fit in anywhere you go. Bring your own style just to steal the show. You shine it so out with a flow and you said, drink with a light, you drink and smoke on your bed. Love by all yourself, you know. You're always involved, you're the star of the show.
Пошли. Все вместе.
Какие ваши доказательства?
Кокаином.
Come on. With a common denominator. Keep it up for me. See how we roll, how the money comes in.
Get to the chopper.
Welcome, one and all. Welcome to the show. I am Joe Fulton. With me is Russ Leach, and we are happy that you are here today.
Yes, indeed. Hello, all.
We're going to be talking about a particular type of storytelling today, known as propaganda. Found some fun old-time commercials the other day. I was looking for something else, actually, and stumbled across these old commercials, and I was cracking up at how full of propaganda they are. They're basically propaganda from beginning to end. And I was thinking about how propaganda really is just about storytelling. It's trying to emotionally manipulate people through the power of stories. So I want to just hop into the chat here and welcome everybody. Jim Cox showed up first, and thankfully let me know that YouTube was kind of freaking out a little bit. I had that movie poster, Russ, as that thumbnail where it says, cocaine, the thrills, the kills, and all that. And so that was an old movie poster for basically an instructional video, really, for parents to keep their kids away from cocaine. And so originally I tried to just clip it and really zoom in on the cocaine part and the syringe and the thrills and the kills. And it was just fine on the main YouTube page, but then for some reason you go into the video itself and there was nothing. So Jim let me know about that, and I decided just to chuck the whole poster on there. And not the most professional graphic arts job, but I think it gets the job done anyway.
Does the job. The job.
So thanks, Jim, for the assist. I appreciate it. Excuse me. Welcome, Mo Biggs.
Yo, Mo.
Good to see you, my friend. Darren Wagoner, who is being pulled up to the main stage tonight on the Jack Show. So for those who watch live or catch the replay the next day, our boy D-Wag from the chat is going to be there, large and in charge. And there he is, Eric the Guapo. Says, I hope you go on to denounce and disavow the bow, them's fighting words, to the crack pack, and embrace the enlightenment of the cocaine gang. See? Propaganda at work. Well done, Eric. And then D-Wag, being an open-minded fellow, says, why not both?
Why not? Why not?
Who else we have? Replicant is here. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. And our buddy Pedro Ang saying hi, Comicsgate. Well, hi right back, Pedro. Thanks for joining us. Pedro is working on some animation for me, Russ. Did I tell you that?
Yes, you did mention that you were talking to Pedro about some animation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I got into the cartoon business and decided that I needed to work with people who not only know what they're doing, but don't mind me asking a whole bunch of pesky questions so that I can also learn, what it is, what's it all about. And so Pedro is kind of, sort of a teammate, I guess you would say, in the world of Black and White. I'm co-writing the Black and White 2 graphic novel with Art T. Bear, and then Pedro is drawing a supplemental book that is being offered in the campaign, Black and White High Octane.
Nice.
Being written by Von Klaus and drawn by Pedro.
Lovely.
So yeah, it's cool that we kind of get to be linked up on that project, but then I also get to work with him on some animation. So it's been fun. I've been learning a lot, really enjoying it. Jabba the Coach says, where am I? Hello, Jabba, and welcome to the Fultonland channel.
Good day, Jabba.
Happy to see you.
Jabba do wonky.
Nub nub. Chris Fisk, hello. Johnny Rando, hello, sir.
Who is indeed.
And I thought there was a couple. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Oh, Statistical Zero.
Yes,
hello, Stato. Good to see you. All right, let's bring up our propaganda here. I'm sorry, our television commercials. And it's funny how some things have changed in the sense that advertisers and the ones that hire them have gotten more sophisticated with their propaganda, but in other ways they're doing the exact same thing.
Oh yeah. I see both sides of that argument in UK advertising.
Yeah,
there is a lot of slick advertising, but so often it's really poorly executed. But usually by the way that it's written.
Yeah.
So it becomes really clunky, and
right.
so you can see that there's agenda in the advertising. But not necessarily on purpose. It may just have come through from the kind of people that are writing the advertising. But you can see it in there, and it just puts you. I personally don't feel like advertising affects me particularly. I know a lot of people might say that, and it does have an underlying effect on quite a large percentage of people. But it brings you out of the advert even more. I mean, I find the only adverts that really work on me are those that make me laugh.
Yeah.
And they are few and far between nowadays. Few and far between.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure. Well, I see some more people are joining the show. Welcome, everybody. We are about to check out some commercials.
Eric is here. Amanda. Hello. Afternoon, Amanda.
All right. So I'll just play this first one all the way through. And then you guys in the chat, let me know what you think is going on here.
This is a raisin snatcher. snitching raisins. He knows those raisins will never be missed because there are so many, many raisins in Post Raisin Bran. Crisp golden bran with lots and lots of sweet, tender raisins. Post makes the Raisin Bran most people like best. In fact, there are so many raisins in Post Raisin Bran, raisin snitchers can get away with raisins. Post cereals from General Foods.
I'm sold. I want a box now.
Now, back in, I think that was filmed in the early 60s. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it was. Johnny Rando, this is a classic line. I'll take some Coke and a smile. One of the old, one of the old taglines from Coca-Cola commercials. And I think they use it a lot in print media as well. So let's go. Oh yeah, Chris Fisk was responding to what you were saying about UK advertising, and he said all of UK media has become unwatchable because of its agenda. Doctor Who, unwatchable now. Black Mirror, series 3 was insufferable.
I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. Most of it is pretty awful. I'm pretty much going through older stuff. There are the occasional things. We have a thing called Silent Witness, and the last series was insufferable. It had been completely wokeified. But this series, I sat down, apart from one episode, which was a bit weird, but pretty much I haven't watched the last 2 yet. It's a series of 10. But they must have got different writers in or something, but they were all great. And, just to clear away that whole wokeified thing, they were completely diverse. They had diverse characters. It worked so much better than the previous series. And I think, much like I was saying about advertising, it's when you've got really clunky writing. It's when people can't sort of sew in the threads of true diversity and true representation without making it the thing that has to be at the front and center of everything. It should just roll along in there with the story.
See, so in this first commercial, they were more on the subtle side than the obvious side. People...
although it did make me want to steal raisins.
Yeah, Johnny Rando said Mama didn't raise no raisin snitchers. Which is funny because I had always thought that snitching was when, somebody went to one of the authorities, whether it's, a prison guard or a parent, and said, so-and-so was doing such and such, and then, try to get them into trouble. That's in the U.S.
It's like being a stool pigeon.
Yeah, a stool pigeon. Exactly. Yeah. So this one is one of the more subtle ones where it's not so much that they're claiming that the cereal, it tastes great, or it's loaded with sugar. We'll get to one of those, but it's really focusing in on the kid and trying to sell kids on the idea that, this is really good because you can get all these raisins. And, some kids like raisins, some kids don't, some kids hate them, but the advertisers know if they can get the kid to believe it, then the kid will bug the parent.
But there's also
to buy the cereal.
That innocent subtlety there of like he's taken it and he's nicked the raisins. He's effectively stealing from his own parents, which has a completely different connotation in the 60s than it does now.
Yeah.
Okay, stealing from your parents now is tying them up in an apartment and setting fire to it and hoping that nobody finds out so you can get the inheritance. Okay, stealing from your parents back then was snitching the raisins out of their cereal. I mean, when I was a bit younger than my siblings, but there would be a lot of scrumping. We used to call it scrumping, and like you'd nip into an orchard and take a few apples. Do you know what I mean? It was like, and somebody might chase you out, okay, but it wasn't a thing for the police,
right?
And it wasn't a gateway drug to being a bank robber, okay? It was just nicking a few apples every now and then. It was scrumping, and I'm not advocating theft in any way, shape, or form, but it was kind of like this social, because there was community, you could get away with little indiscretions like that. And it was going, oh, it's just kids. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas now it's a whole different level. So there was some of that in there as well. It was kind of like, sort of getting to the kids' sensibilities of being a little bit of a rebel there. But he was still at the breakfast table with his parents, smiling after he'd brushed his teeth. So,
yeah, isn't
Raisins
that
of a grape mummies?
I want to say hello to Ilda Schneily and Alda Schneily and everyone else who's joining the show in the last few minutes. Good to see you. And okay, let's get on with the show here.
Who would eat a Snickers candy bar after a long, tough scrimmage? Johnny Unitas, that's who.
Snickers. Sounds crazy. Tastes great.
Snickers. Crazy name. Great taste. Rich chocolate, chewy caramel, and now more than twice the crunchy peanuts a Snickers had before. A whole fistful saw Snickers packs peanut power. Snickers.
Sounds crazy. Tastes great.
I'm sorry. I must apologize to my American cousins, but whenever I hear that accent, all I can think of is the chicken lawyer in The Simpsons.
That's a good one. I would not have thought of that.
Yeah, that deep. It is a deep South voice, isn't it?
No.
Accent? No. What is it?
Well, are you referring to the guy with the candy bar or the narrator?
The voiceover. Is that like a Midwest or?
That's more like a New York. It's kind of like a generic New England accent.
Right. Okay. It did make me laugh.
So on that one, we had the implication that the Snickers candy bar is a good way to refuel after intensive exercise, right?
Not it's full of fat and sugar, isn't
it? and the football player there was Johnny Unitas,
right?
He's in the National Football League Hall of Fame. He's one of the most well-known quarterbacks in football history. I mean, he was a superstar in American athletics. Right. And so all you needed, again, this is more implication than anything else, you just needed to show Unitas, having a rough and tumble football practice, and then, when he's got the candy bar, notice that he didn't make any claims about the nutritional benefits.
No, it was just, I'm fit and I eat them.
and no claims about, now that I'm eating a candy bar, I feel rejuvenated after practice. No, he said, sounds crazy, tastes great, which has nothing to do with the implied claim that if you eat these after football practice, you'll be just like Johnny Unitas.
This is incredibly subtle. Because you're right, nobody's saying anything about how great these things are for you. They're just kind of showing. It's like having a marathon runner pick up a cigarette and go, "Yeah, these are great." I love the flavor of these, and you think, "Oh, wow, the marathon runner's smoking a cigarette. It must be fine." Yeah, it's that sort of association thing.
Yeah, it's it's pretty funny.
And yours, how old is that advert? Is that 70s, 60s? So you were calling them Snickers back in the 60s?
Yeah.
When we were calling them marathons?
Yeah. We just had, yeah.
Which probably has a connotation to it as well. The word marathon.
Oh, the Schneider. Yeah, I had heard the name marathon, but I didn't know that it was the same product. So that's interesting that they're giving it a different name when they're marketing it to a different country. It's not like McDonald's, which is a global brand, where you're keeping that same.
Yeah. Oh, it's called Snickers now.
Okay,
they changed it. I think in the 90s or something. They changed it. I don't know why. Probably some ridiculous rule. But yeah, I thought that was always what it was, marathon, and it became Snickers. But this is you can learn something every day, and you learn something when you watch Fultonland. I didn't realise it was called Snickers, or that you even had Snickers in the States. I thought you just had those awful Hershey bars.
No, we've got endless different chocolate bars.
Yeah.
Eric Huffle says actually sugar and protein are good to have exercise. They are, just not in the form of a Snickers bar. But if you were, let's say, to maybe have a banana and a hard boiled egg or two, then you're getting sugar and you're getting potassium and you're getting protein and natural whole fats. That's all good stuff. Okay, so here we go with another candy bar. As soon as I get the right window. Here we go.
A Milky Way bar can fool you. It tastes like chewy, creamy candy. It's really good food.
So I'm going to replay this because the claim here is unbelievable to me.
So that just to clarify, somebody was saying about Milky Way, that over here is a Mars bar.
Okay.
Milky Way just has a fluffy center. It doesn't have the caramel in it.
No. Okay. Got it.
Just to clarify that.
And you'll have to listen for what is being said over the sound of him smacking away on this candy bar, which I do believe is intentional.
A Milky Way bar can fool you. It tastes like chewy, creamy candy. But it's really good food. It's good for you.
It's really good food. It's good for you.
Jesus.
Now take the milk chocolate. It's loaded with milk.
Take the milk chocolate. It's loaded with milk. Now listen as he goes through each of these ingredients.
That's good food. And the caramel, milk, and corn syrup. More good food. And the chewy center, the fluffy whites of honest eggs. Good food
honest
again.
Eggs.
Now you know why we call Milky Way the good food candy bar.
Good Lord.
Why don't you just go a half step farther and call it the health food candy bar?
This is all you need to eat. Just eat these. You'll be fine. You won't ever need to call a truck to hoist you out of your bedroom. You'll be fine.
No. And since it's good food, then if you eat more of it, it'll be even better for you, right?
Yeah. It's like Elder here. This is the tagline for Mars over here is a Mars a day helps you work, rest, and play. Very cleverly written.
Oh, really?
Not actually say this is good food.
No.
like that is just done. It's not suggesting. All it's saying is you can get energy out of it, basically.
Yeah. So again, for anybody who missed it, when we started rolling these clips, I was saying how I wanted to look at some propaganda that was not, it's not like wartime propaganda that we're usually used to seeing, or political propaganda that we're inundated with all the time these days and have been for many, many years, decades, really. But there are other types of propaganda, which is essentially storytelling that's used to try to emotionally manipulate people. So each of these commercials is telling a story, and the people who are funding the commercials, as much as the ones who are making them, they're trying to convince you to do something, which in this case is buy their product, consume it. And they're doing that through storytelling. Excuse me. Chris Fisk says people's tastes are drawn to sweet or salty. I fall into the latter category. Yeah, we're gonna see some others as well. It's not just food, but I thought it was appropriate to start out with.
I thought it was a rather good expression. Sweet grease. People love sweet grease.
Sweet grease. I don't think I've heard that before.
There's sugar and fat. That's what it is. It's sweet grease.
Mm.
And if you think of it as sweet grease, you kind of think, maybe I won't have that.
Yeah, that's good. Was it when he talked about corn syrup being good food? It's not food. It may taste good. It's certainly not good for you.
I think that the most propaganda-esque line in that was honest eggs.
Yeah, honest eggs. Because good food, they could argue, it refers to taste, not healthfulness.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with improving your state of health. But
What
when they call
honest
eggs, yeah, what's a dishonest egg? Is that one that tells you it's made of chocolate?
Yeah, I'm a chocolate
It's
egg.
not. I'm a Cadbury chocolate egg. What? Gotcha. Fooled you.
Oh dear. Sit on me, I melt.
Scotsman says sweet grease is what we call Sparta after being tamed.
Bravo.
Oh, excuse me. That was a good one. Chris Fisk says eggs that lie need to be hurled at people's houses.
Yes, especially liars' houses.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's get on to the next one here.
Was a countdown. I love it. Misogyny in her work.
How'd she guess? Easy, from the chocolate mess.
Because this is what every 7-year-old looks like when they eat a candy bar, right?
I'm not going to say what I. No, I'm not going to say it.
Excuse me. Good idea.
I'm going to keep this clean.
Good idea. I will say though that it was the liberated woman who won the game. Very important.
Yeah.
Billy's the only one who's been eating messy chocolate candy. The others are still neat because they're eating M&M's chocolate candies. With M&M's chocolate candies, there's no chocolate mess because the milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Here's why.
I'm the M&M's
God,
plain
we got
chocolate
science.
center. He's
Yeah.
a peanut.
A roasted southern peanut
He's drenched.
in pure milk chocolate,
Then we're covered with thin candy shells.
so there's no chocolate mess.
Really?
Know what I mean?
So once Billy finally gets cleaned up, he can stay cleaned up with M&M's chocolate candies. The milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Next time, get M&M's plain and peanut chocolate candies.
That's it. That's when you think about it. That's incredible propaganda because you're effectively playing on an aspect of the food that has nothing to do with its nutritional value, or its flavor, or its popularity. Just that you won't get in a mess, whereas most children of that age wouldn't get in that kind of mess anyway. So it's kind of like a problem, reaction, solution, all in one advert.
Yeah, and notice how
crack off your face, son.
Notice how the other candy, and the Raisin Bran commercial too. They were trying to get to the kids, right? This one, I say, is actually geared towards the adults because it's all about the cleanliness of the child.
Yeah.
and talking about how, you basically, the implication being you're not going to have to clean up after your kid if you give them M&Ms.
Or if you teach them how to eat properly. Just don't get it. God.
Oh.
Now that was quite a good example, actually. Like I say, problem, reaction, solution. Creating a problem to something that isn't there.
Yes.
Reacting to it, and then solving it with your solution, and never even actually appearing.
And so much of that has been used in politics for decades. I mean, who knows how far back it goes? I just, when I think of American politics, I go back to the beginning of the 20th century, and then I kind of skip back to the late 1700s, around when the colonies won their independence from jolly old England. When immediately afterwards, when there was jockeying for position of who was going to become the first president. I mean, you talk about creating a problem that doesn't exist and usually with the other candidate making something up or casting them in a bad light, using some out of context material, and then you, the candidate that you want people to vote for, you are the solution, right? And so I see that dynamic constantly.
I mean, it highlights the deeply tribal nature of humanity. That you can, whether it's a religion, whether it's a politician, whether it's a television program, people get behind it, or a game system. People get behind these things and can actively fool themselves into seeing no wrong. And so their thing is perfect and everybody else's thing is awful. And you see that all the time, especially in politics. You see it in socioeconomic environment. You see it in the political environment. Red flags for wars, they happen. They're real things. They're not just conspiracy theories. They're absolutely real things. It's these red flags don't just happen in military conflicts. They happen all over the place in politics.
Sure.
And even in just normal life, when people are trying to push a particular idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the racial politics being pushed in the U.S. over the last 10 years, in my opinion, somebody with power and influence and some level of authority, whether they were behind the scenes or a public face, somebody decided that things were just too mellow in the United States, and that people had learned to get along too well. Because about 10 years ago, I noticed politicians really starting to ramp that up and try and create problems where they just didn't exist anymore, and then present themselves as the solution. Them and all of their administrative stuff that they wanted to push, that would be the solution to this made up problem. And unfortunately, they've been at it long enough that they've actually turned it into a real problem. Basically reintroducing the idea that segregation is a good thing. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, it's hideous.
And yet it's being pushed and has been for a couple of years now.
No, it's made its way over to the UK. And Trevor Phillips, who's made a great point the other day. I was watching a interview with him, and he was saying, he knows what racism is. His brothers were chased around when they were kids, back in the 60s and 70s. He understands what it's all about. He said, and this drive towards making out that we live in this hideous world is completely disrespecting what he and people like him went through over periods of time where there really was a lot more racism, and doesn't take into account all the advances that have been made. It's like, it isn't gone. Unfortunately, it never will be. Much like the tribal nature of humanity, there's this nasty aspect to it, and you can't kind of beat it out. But you can get rid of it. You can remove it largely. You can't completely remove it, but you can get rid of a lot of it. And certainly the 90s was a very mellow time in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, and you saw that in clubs and out in you know, out and around in the scene, you know, that I was in when I was younger, and in the 90s, it was very mellow, and it seems to just. But it's not just about that, is it? It's everything. Everything seems to be combative at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're saying,
it
seems you find problems in order to create an issue about them.
Yeah, there's been a gradual progression. It got kicked off, and then there's been, in my opinion, YouTube censor bots. No factual statements around here, only subjective opinion statements. Thank you very much.
Well, that's an issue, isn't it? Subjective opinions instead of you know, backing yourself up with actual factual evidence. And then, but not just that, it's listening and taking subjective emotional opinions as fact. That's the problem, though. That's effectively the issue we live with, is that people can just say something and it creates an emotive response, and they're listened to, instead of saying, whoa, back the truck up. Well, you know, is there any evidence to support what you're saying, or are we just supposed to scream when we hear you?
Yeah. Well said. In the chat, people are talking about how in the 90s, Pedro was saying down here, Pedro's in Panama, so I'm not sure if he refers to Panama specifically or like Central and South America in general.
I can only talk about the UK.
it definitely applies, I think, for both locally in Panama and then also broadly, based on people I've talked to and things I've read about Central and South America today.
I mean, there were issues right across the world. Just to say that, you know, it was a lot calmer in the 90s for the UK. It doesn't mean it was calmer for everybody, but in general, the Western world, as in the rich governments like the G8 or whatever it is, sort of that grouping, things had really calmed. And it seems like we're in a complete turmoil now. I mean, end of the Roman Empire and all that. The Visigoths are on the hill and they're at the gates.
Yeah, and Eric the Guapo is saying 90s were crazy in the US as well. Yeah, that's the thing, is that there's never any perfect time. There's never any perfect decade. There's never going to be any sort of utopia, which means that the people that pursue it, claiming that they can create it,
exactly.
You know, in my opinion, those are people to watch out for, because you know, great is the enemy of good, and perfect is the enemy of great. And
exactly, it's,
you know,
that way lies madness.
You try to create utopia, and you know, look what happened in the Soviet Union. Look what happened in China around the same time. You know, you could go down the list. It doesn't work out well.
No.
Okay, so here's a bit of propaganda with a little bit different take to it.
Give your eyes beauty soft as nature's own. It's so easy with Ultra Lash, Ultra Brow, and Ultra Shadow, new beauty discoveries by Maybelline. When nature hides loveliness, let Maybelline reveal hidden beauty.
Whoa,
what? Insensibly priced is always Maybelline.
You caught that, did you?
That when nature hides loveliness, so you can only be lovely if you have makeup on, ladies. You can only be gorgeous if you're, you know, made up and had your hair done. You can't just be naturally beautiful.
Yeah. Now,
but you see, that's, sorry to interject it, that's going on right now. I see makeup adverts where you've got women, like, okay, we're talking about young, independent, strong women, okay, who can do whatever they want and be whatever they want and dress the way they want, but they need makeup in order to feel confident. That's the aspect of the advert, is that, oh, well, I'm not really me until I've got my makeup on. Do you know what that sounds like? Do you understand what that sounds like? That doesn't sound like strong and independent to me.
No.
Okay, my wife and my daughter very rarely wear makeup. Okay, they're both gorgeous. They're both beautiful. Okay, they don't need makeup because they're beautiful. And I'm not just okay. Maybe I'm lucky, and they really are the best looking women on the planet. Okay, but that doesn't. It wouldn't matter any. They're beautiful for what they are. Okay, they don't need makeup to do that. Okay, and too many, especially young girls, are like forced down that track of, makeup, and then that, when you force it down that way, makeup, clothes, whatever, and then it ends up being, as we've seen, recently, a spate of people wanting to change their bodies with surgery.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, where does it stop? No, be you, but that's a very early version of that whole problem.
Notice one of the reasons why I picked this
Women
one.
are pretty idiots about the
makeup. Past Master Dan doesn't like them shaving their legs either. He likes his women hirsute. Eric the Guapo says, I dated this woman who looked like a different person without her makeup. With it on, her skin looked smooth caramel. Without it, her face was greasy and covered with zits. That's the thing is,
probably because she wore too much makeup.
It's possible that there is a problem where I've been told by girlfriends and my wife when asking why they were spending so much money on makeup, they were saying cheap makeup not only looks cheap, but it gives you skin problems.
Yeah.
And you got to buy the expensive stuff so that doesn't happen. Now, I personally think that most women look more attractive without makeup. Call me a nature boy.
I'm not massively a makeup.
I prefer the natural look. I did very briefly date one girl who I couldn't deny it. She looked better with makeup, so I understood why she wanted to have it on at all times. But it was also skillfully applied, and it was a quality product. So it's kind of like it's makeup is not a magic pill.
No.
That's right. Dade Comics.
My wife uses it sparingly, and most people consider her to look 10 years younger than she actually is.
Yeah.
So that says all you need to know, really.
Yeah, and Chris Fisk says that makeup is deception. Now, here's that gets into one of the reasons why I picked that commercial is because, like Russ, you keyed in on, is that the narrator is telling the viewer and the listener, is telling them that a woman's natural appearance hides her beauty. And that this makeup that she uses to cover her face reveals
her beauty.
The beauty.
Like up is down, black is white, wrong is right.
Exactly. Now, does that sound anything like silence is violence?
Yeah, certainly does. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Abusing language to emotionally manipulate people. Right? That's what this is. So I'm going to play it one more time, and we'll just hear him go through it. Chris Fisk.
Fantastic.
If I wanted false advertising, I wear a toupee and a fake abs undershirt.
Man, listens to the boys into the boys club. That's quite good.
Yeah, this is it, Amanda.
We're all sitting there chatting there about makeup.
You're getting an exclusive look into the minds of men here. Okay, so I'm going to play this through, and you just listen to the words. And it's a newspeak from 1984, basically.
Oh.
Give your eyes beauty soft as nature's own. It's so easy with Ultra Lash, Ultra Brow, and Ultra Shadow. New beauty discoveries by Maybelline. When nature hides loveliness, let Maybelline reveal hidden beauty. The finest in eye makeup and sensibly priced is always Maybelline.
So there's two things going on there, isn't there? There's the propaganda in the narration, and then there's cultural conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So the eyelashes make her more beautiful? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, but that comes that comes from culture, that comes from the population, that comes from what we've been fed to believe, and it's kind of like a feedback loop into the advertising.
Yeah, for sure.
Nothing
Most
to
of
hide
those
your
nature will
beauty.
stop at nothing to hide your natural beauty.
It certainly did that for me.
Past Master Dan says, "Don't be ugly," is what I got out of it. I'm happy to know from
Yes.
Zaid Comics. Phil Diaz says, "If you back the Lost Pages 2, you'll be hotter. They guarantee
Yeah.
it."
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Only Death Can Save Us. You back that, you know that you're going to be rich and famous. Yeah.
Pedro says Amanda's going full Gorillas in the Mist over here. Amanda is Jane Goodall observing the chimps. Chris Fisk says, "If you back Infinitail Chronicles, you won't be hotter, but you'll make a fat bald man happy."
That's well, that put us in the queue there. Put us in line because we're all...
Yeah. There you
This looks good.
Yeah, here's a good one. Some of these, it's okay. We got it dialed in.
In the quiet moments, the important things are said with your eyes. Make sure your eyes are beautiful. Make sure with Maybelline, the eye makeup that reveals hidden loveliness. Tonight, will your eyes be silent, or will they be beautiful with Maybelline? The finest in eye makeup, sensibly priced, Maybelline.
Did you notice her expression was completely different?
Yeah, they got her to be like dowdy and like look down, and
yeah,
and yet she's got lovely eyes.
Oh yeah,
with or without the makeup, but yeah, without the makeup.
Yeah. So
I mean, with the makeup is how we draw them in comics.
Yeah, and it part of that is cultural.
Yeah.
Right. And then part of it is, I think, also at the size with which we have to work at with comics.
Accentuating certain aspects.
Exactly. Yeah. You can only draw. You can't draw a photoreal figure, but you can highlight certain very easily identifiable features.
Exactly. So you pick out larger eyes for women.
Yeah.
You know, the shape of the nose and the mouth.
Yeah.
But just all kinds of stuff that you pick out in different sexes and also races as well. The way that you draw particular people,
different ethnic.
You can pick out different
right.
ethnic aspects and what have you, and you have to pick out just small ones, especially like with a style like mine where I'm not photorealistic at all.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm kind of moving in. I'm not moving in like rubber hose sort of, full on cartoon either. It's an approximation of reality. So you have to kind of hit certain beats with faces.
Yeah.
So that is an odd one where even though you're not necessarily showing someone to be like full on makeup or something like that, there's still these aspects that you have to pick out that make someone feminine or masculine or one way or another. But yeah, that's they obviously directed that to really sort of take advantage of when she did and didn't have the makeup on there.
Yeah, it's this one I think is just plain funny. But yeah, the makeup where they used it wasn't just one ad, right? This was this was a campaign they had.
They went for the theme, didn't they?
Reveal, right? Don't let nature hide your loveliness. Reveal it with Maybelline.
And I think it's even more insidious now. Like I was saying, it's not even let your physical aspects out. It's like, oh, I'm only me if I've got the makeup on.
Yeah, well,
that's a far more insidious way of doing it.
There's that, and then there's also I wish I would have pulled some up. I wish I would have thought of this, but the social media television commercials that we see, and also obviously all over the social media platforms themselves, but something like Facebook or Instagram, where they basically convey the message that it's when you're putting yourself on those platforms, that's the real you, quote unquote.
And that's the real world.
Yeah, trying to portray it as the real world when it's not.
Yeah. Well, I've seen this. I mean, I've been noticing this in advertising for some time now. Is this sickening aspect of if we weren't here, you wouldn't have a life.
Yes.
So things like a mobile phone network doing an advert where they effectively suggest that all these families connect only because of this mobile network.
Yeah.
It makes families better. Ergo, it makes your life better. Ergo, it makes society better. We're here for you. No, you're not. You're a bloody mobile phone network.
Yeah.
And all you want is for us to pay you for the mobile phone. And banks. Don't get me started on banks. We're here for you. We're here to help you out. Oh, by the way, here's our app to let you work out how you spend your money. I know how I spend my money. I don't need a bank to tell me how to spend my money. Believe me, I don't. Okay? Just go away. Stop trying to make out that you're in some way lifting society. And in some ways, like society would not be able to work without you. The family unit would not be able to work without Facebook. It's like, no, go away.
Facebook used to advertise themselves as like connecting families and whatnot. And then after they got however many billion people signed up on it, then it was all about how they're making the world a better place. Like how they're and basically they combined politics into their advertising.
But
and
Google
now
do that as well. Yeah.
Google did same thing, positioning themselves as this, big brother type of, we know what's best for the world and we're going to do it. And you're going to be a part of it.
So I started noticing that mostly with car adverts, because the car adverts are very aspirational. It's like, buy this Jag, and you can be, you can have whatever woman you want, or one man what you want, or whatever it is. But the aspirational has gone beyond that now to look at this family. They would not last without this car. Oh, and by the way, Ford is there for every family on the entire planet, and you wouldn't be a family without Ford or whatever the car manufacturer is. And it's turned from aspirational into kind of like you say, this kind of big brother nanny state kind of thing where you couldn't possibly have what you have without us. And it doesn't sit well. And then of course that moves into things like you talk about Facebook and Google. We had adverts for Google right at the end of the lockdowns, where all it was the Google screen and somebody tapping in. You could hear somebody tap, and the search parameter comes up, and it will come up with like, "Can I go out now? Who can I see? What can I do?
What
can
am I
hug
allowed to
someone?
do?
What am I allowed to? Why am I asking Google what I'm allowed to do? Google can do one. I'll do whatever I like.
Yeah,
and that was, I found that insidious. I found that very creepy, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, very well said.
Here's a good old standby. Cream of mushrooms. It's condensed. You have to dilute it. You add a canful of water, a little at a time. You may have a time getting it smooth, but it's good soup.
Prison food.
Now, may we introduce you to something better. New Great American soups from Heinz. The soup you don't dilute. You serve our cream of mushroom full strength, the way we cooked it.
Plop, plop, plop.
Rich, velvety soup like this by adding water, or even milk. As for mushrooms, in condensed soup, they're neatly diced bits and pieces. But in Great American soup, the mushrooms look like mushrooms, don't they?
They do look like mushrooms.
They do look like mushrooms, although the implication here being that these are somehow more real.
Yeah.
They're more of a mushroom than these.
Because they're not diced.
And these are just smaller bits of these.
Yes, exactly the same, just in smaller bits.
But these are more mushroom than these little squares over here. More mushroom-like.
Do you reckon they've also made that soup on the left paler? because it looks insipid, doesn't it?
It does look it.
I think they coloured it.
I wonder if they did that with, like, if they put too much milk in it to make it that much more pale. Because I did notice that the first time I saw this.
Yeah, because I don't actually mind condensed soup. I remember eating condensed soup when I was a kid. You know, you take it out and you put water in it and you make more of it, and it's great. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But it's just this whole aspect of making out one's better by very surface level attributes. Instead of they didn't say anything about the fact that, you know, if you have condensed soup, it's not nutritionally as good as the other soup, or it doesn't taste as good as the other soup. They didn't say any of that.
No,
they just showed it being plopped in and looking terrible. Okay, and then they had the vomit soup, which they obviously didn't think looked terrible.
They thought it was less terrible. Yeah,
they thought that was less terrible, and then they showed you some chopped mushrooms. They couldn't actually say anything valid about either of them. It was all surface level stuff.
Yeah, I think Mo is onto something here. There might be the same ad agency behind the Maybelline commercial and the soup commercial, because he says dicing the mushroom brings out the natural beauty that nature tries to hide.
Oh Mo, you are so great.
Let's continue.
Slices, you can taste them. We make great Americans.
I think I talked about that a little bit. He's saying here now that because they're sliced this way, with the more of the mushroom shape rather than diced into little squares, you can actually taste the mushroom. Oh, as long as these are mushrooms, they taste like mushrooms.
Yeah.
You can taste them. We make great American soup the way soups in America were always made before they got condensed. All the soups you love the most are better now. New Great American Soup from Heinz, the soup you don't dilute.
The only difference is, of course, is that because you don't dilute it, you can't feed as many people for exactly the same price.
Correct. And notice, well, you wouldn't notice because you have lived in England, but I noticed that brand or sub-brand, I guess, Great American Soups by Heinz, I've never seen it before. I'm almost 50 years old. I've never seen that brand of soup, but I do see Campbell's soup and other condensed soup brands, and I've seen them my entire life.
Well, that says a lot then, doesn't it?
I mean, maybe it's a regional thing, Russ, but you know, San Diego has always had multi-million people populations for as long as I've been alive, and we tend to get a lot of stuff that is national. You
have healthy soup diversity.
We do have a healthy soup diversity here in Southern California. I've never in my life seen Great American Soups, so I'm not sure how long they lasted.
No, because you couldn't feed as many people. They went out of business after that commercial. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. Hello, Barrows.
How's it going, Dave? Good to see you. Stato says Campbell's is the Netflix of soups. That is true. You get more variety, and a whole lot more garbage than other brands. Let's see here. Yeah, Alda Schneidley says fresh soup is so easy to make. That's the thing, is that this was one of the condensed soups and TV dinners when they showed up in the 50s. You know, that was when there was really the push. And both of those were invented thanks to technology developed during World War II, because they had to try and figure out different governments, not just the US, UK did this as well. Different governments contracted private companies to figure out new ways of preserving food so that it could be shipped overseas to soldiers, sailors, Marines. We didn't have an Air Force yet. I know you guys had the RAF, so airmen as well. But they had to be able to ship them across oceans without the food going bad. That was a huge problem during World War I. So the preservation right? Being able to freeze food into TV dinners, doing the condensed soups and cans, that stuff came out of those innovations. But then quickly, manufacturers realized that they could advertise and ideally emotionally manipulate people into buying that stuff rather than continuing to make fresh food.
Yeah.
So what they do is talk about
it makes your life easier.
The convenience,
Yeah,
exactly.
the convenience of it. Now you're
And
in the modern age.
This is easier for you, therefore it's better.
Yeah, which isn't the case at all.
And Jim made the point earlier that something was made easy for him, but easy for him was not good for him. And that's one of the things that I think people lately are starting to figure out over the last several years. Let's see. There was one more. That's another one with the soup. There was one more I wanted to show because it just. Oh, cigarette commercials are always good.
Yeah,
we'll do two more. We'll do Pall Mall, and then we'll do another one before we get to a little bit of modern
this
propaganda.
Cigarette is longer than the other cigarette, which means more cancer.
And an ad is going to pop up here, so I'm going to kill the ad and then play it.
Taste the new luxury length and filter cigarettes.
So we'll just mute. One of these days, I'm going to get around
to real advert.
Yeah, one of these days, I'm going to get around to upgrading my YouTube account so we don't have ads on the show. But it's one of those things that always gets pushed down on the priority list because of some new disaster that's happening around the house. Oh, let's get sound going.
Taste the new luxury length and filter cigarettes. Filter tipped, pell-mell, packaged in gold.
What did he call it? Pell-mell?
He called it pell-mell.
Pell-mell?
Yeah, pell-mell for some reason.
It's pell-mell. Pell-mell.
It's almost like he was trying to affect a mid-Atlantic accent, except he only used it on one syllable for the whole.
Pell-mell cigarettes. Only the upper crust smoke.
Right. Now, notice they didn't get some, crusty dock worker to hold these cigarettes up.
No, no. They got someone who had Maybelline makeup on.
Maybelline makeup hiding her, revealing her beauty that nature tries to hide. Excuse me.
And maybe a woman with small hands. Who knows?
Who knows? They're using all kinds of tricks. This is a good one. Amanda, I hope you're still there. This one's for you. Not that let's not get it twisted. I think you'll really appreciate how terrible this commercial is. Put it that way. My jaw almost hit the floor, and then I was just dying laughing. So the guy that they're talking about in this commercial, I believe, was an athlete. I want to say a golfer, but I can't remember for sure, and I forgot to look him up. So he's the celebrity, but then the wife ends up being the focus of the commercial.
Right.
I know you guys in chat are going to love this one.
Look at all those trampolines. No wonder Dick Wilson's 6 children are in such good shape.
6? I only have 5 children. Ida's not one of the kids. She's their mother, my wife.
Imagine, mother of 5 children. Yet she keeps slim as her teenage daughter.
Imagine, but she should really be wandering around on one of those little trolleys. 5 children and she still has a body.
Driving around the grocery store on the little electric scooter.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, I can't get up. I've had 5 kids.
Now,
oh dear.
Maybe it's just me, Amanda. You call me out on this if I got this wrong, but I'm going to point something out here that I thought I noticed.
Yet she keeps slim as her teenage daughter. How does she do it? Exercise and the right kind of
Oh,
food.
wait a minute. I didn't back it up far enough.
Yeah, the grape.
We needed to get to the close up of her as she's flipping in the air or somersaulting in the
Six
air.
children are in such good shape.
6? I only have 5 children. Ida's not one of the kids. She's their mother, my
I
wife.
presume that this is
Imagine.
also a double ad for Tenor Lady.
Now, I may be wrong here, but it seems to me like on this close-up shot, the mother of 5 children here that is being focused on about how her body looks appears to not be wearing any panties. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's a little trick of the camera.
Maybe I would suggest that if you're jumping up and down on the trampoline after 5 kids, probably is wearing something.
Now, as we move along this commercial, we're going to find out what they're actually trying to sell.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But for now, it's all about her and her hot pink pants and her looking just like her daughter, right?
So they're not trying to
5
sell
children.
trampolines.
Yet she keeps slim as her
Well,
teenage
we'll find
daughter.
out.
How does she do it? Exercise and the right kind of foods. Like a post-grape nuts breakfast. It fills you up, not out. Gives you important...
Fills you up, not out.
You can eat as much of it and you don't feel fat. You just are fat.
protein and other nutrients. And grape nuts has a wonderfully crisp crunchiness.
Oh,
that's
that's
like
hideous.
no other cereal you've ever tasted.
I've had it, Russ.
Yeah.
It's what I imagine eating gravel would be like. And when I was a kid, my mom bought it one time. I don't remember why, but she made us eat it. I remember letting it soak in milk for a good 20 minutes.
No.
After a good 20 minutes, and it still was like trying to eat gravel.
So to help keep your shape in good shape, take a tip from the Wilson family. Get plenty of excercise.
Go back
and
to
be
where
sure
they're
to start
sitting
your
there
day with a
eating together
post-grape
on
nut
the
breakfast.
table.
It fills you up, not out.
They didn't focus on...
Go back to where they're sitting at the table.
They didn't focus on the boys. They didn't focus
No,
on
it
the
was all
husband
girls.
and
Yeah.
the father.
Just the way that she's eating, like
she might as well be eating caviar.
It's just
at the Queen's table.
Wink twice if you're in trouble.
So to help keep your shape
I'm being
in good
held
shape,
prisoner.
take a tip from the Wilson family. Get plenty of exercise and be sure to start your day with a post-grape nuts breakfast. It fills you up, not out. Post cereals make breakfast a little bit better. Post cereals from General Foods.
Now there's one more.
Yes, Amanda. You're absolutely right, Amanda. Not everybody lets themselves go physically as they get older.
Yeah, some Amanda says some people age and deal better with childbearing. If she is truly a mother of 5 kids, bless her.
Yeah.
Amen.
I mean,
well said,
I mean,
Amanda.
she looks fantastic if she really is a mother of 5 kids.
Yeah, and if you know, that's not enough to convince you, as Mo Big says, just take it from Dick. You know, Dick Wilson, who opened the commercial, patriarch of the family, husband of that fine grape nuts spokes. Not even spokes. I'll say spokesmodel, Ida Wilson.
Was Dick somebody famous?
I think, yeah, he was. I'd have to look him up. I forget if he was a golfer or a race car driver or what, but yeah, he had some sort of.
But that was quite clever the way they got onto Dick, because obviously Dick was the famous person, but then zoomed into the wife.
They
and
had this
worked the whole advert around her and about her health and how much she ate and all the rest of it.
Yeah, the celebrity is the one who introduced the commercial. And then they zoomed in to Ida is the raisin one I was looking for might have been on another set of clips.
He looks nice.
Oh, he is.
Have we got any adverts?
Right now in the United
Thankfully, no. Not on this channel, we don't.
States of America, there must be well over 1,875 varieties of dips. 1,875 delicious dips, and absolutely no sensible way to get to them. Until now. Just think, no more fighting the battle of the dip. The falling dip. The sliding dip. Not to mention the trickling dip. It's over. Wipe your fingers. Shapies are here.
Watch out for that trickling dip, Russ. I hear it gets worse as you age.
Problem, reaction, solution. There you go. Oh my God, what are we going to do about these dips? How am I ever going to do these will do it. These will cure your dip problem. There you go.
Yeah. Now, Eric the Guapo is asking for some modern propaganda. Well, I'm happy to oblige. Let's see here. Now, we're not going to go through this whole thing. We're just going to, kind of
dips.
Key in on some highlights here. Yeah, and Pastmaster Dan says it only takes one dip to ruin a party.
It certainly does, yeah. I've been in that situation.
Oh, Derek Clay says that guy was Winnie the Pooh and the snake in Jungle Book.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Nice.
So he's doing well.
Okay, now this is just a suggestion, Russ. Everybody can, obviously do their own thing, produce their own propaganda in their own way. I personally do not recommend having a spokesperson in any propaganda who is named Pooh. Now, this involves the Vice President of the United States and was just uploaded to YouTube a short while ago.
Oh, no.
If you didn't catch that, it's iGen Pooh. And I checked the spelling, it's P-O-O.
iGen Pooh. Pooh. Oh, we're not going there, are we?
The National Domestic Workers Alliance. So this is a union, basically.
Right.
And there you go. AI-JEN Pooh. P-O-O.
iGen Pooh.
And so these, it says here in the description, Vice President Harris participates in a virtual town hall hosted by Care Can't Wait. Now, if you're gonna make propaganda, try to make it clear and understandable. Hosted by Care Can't Wait on the care provisions of the Build Back Better agenda and how they will benefit families and women.
Are you going to play this?
I can only take a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right.
I will play a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. He said it's not showing on the screen.
Yeah. No, I was waiting for you to do it.
Sorry
I didn't know
about
if you were
that.
going to play it or not.
Yeah. A momentary lapse of technical ability produced by the onset of boomerism.
Boomerism.
There's the audio. There we go. So there's Miss Pooh. And here is the description. If anybody wants to watch this on YouTube, Vice President Harris participates in a virtual town hall. And so in the description, we see that it's hosted by Care Can't Wait
On the care provisions.
On the care provisions of the Build Back Better agenda. This is what they're trying to sell. And how they will benefit families and women.
Do families include men?
I don't know, Russ. Do they these days?
I
Are they
know.
really necessary?
I don't know. It's always families and women. It's like, well, why don't you just say people?
If families do still contain men, apparently, they won't benefit from this agenda as they advertise it.
Stuff them then. I don't care. All
Um,
those men in those families.
Past Master Dan says hair is all about poo. And men are sperm donors. Well, I'm sure that's only until
only if they're lucky.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's only until we see quote unquote women who are producing sperm. Chris Fisk says families no longer include men. Feminist Marxists have done everything they can to remove fathers from the family. Eric the Guapo says Build Back Better comes with many stipulations, one being the IRS monitoring bank accounts that have a $600 transaction to make sure quote unquote billionaires pay their taxes.
All right, so that's if a billionaire's had their breakfast that morning.
Yeah,
$600.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
6,000,
even 600,000. Good Lord.
And what if you are, you're not rich? Let's say you're in the U.S. and you have to pay $600 in taxes. So you pay $600 to the Internal Revenue Service, and then that would, under this Build Back Better agenda, give the government permission to look into your bank account and then monitor it from that point forward.
I think
just to make sure that you're a billionaire paying their fair share, right?
Yeah.
That's because that makes it justifiable, right?
That does, yeah. Just there in that. Oh, these people are crazy. They're all mad.
It is my honor to be a part of today's important town hall meeting about an issue that touches all of our lives, caregiving.
Except men.
Whether it's childcare or paid family and medical leave or home and community-based care for our elders or supports for people with disabilities, millions of us have struggled with these needs that are fundamental to our families, to our ability to.
So if you notice, while she's reading her prompter, she's trying to inject, feeling into this on certain words, like children and families. You'll see that she'll kind of sort of try to smile, and then you'll see it in the mouth and the cheeks, not so much in the eyes, which are busy reading.
She needs to tell Mel. That's what she needs.
Yeah, so the cheek muscles will push the eyes up a little bit, but the eyes are just reading. So this is performance. This is all
performance. All of these things are performance. All of it. Don't trust these people. Don't vote for them. Lord, I'll just encourage them. Yeah, you're not wrong.
To work and to the health of our economy. The Biden-Harris administration's Build Back Better agenda understands the urgency of these needs.
An agenda doesn't understand anything. An agenda does not have a brain that allows it to understand anything.
Oh dear.
So, yeah, this is, if you do, excuse me, if somebody does decide to watch this, just pay attention to the words that are used, the body language, because it's all very performative. I'm just going to key in real quick on Harris, and then we'll wrap up the show because we're a little over time.
Thank you, Ijen. It's so good to see you and always to work with you over these years, and especially now.
all these people. I don't understand how so many people. We were talking about tribalism at the start. I just don't get how so many human beings in today's world look at any of these politicians and see anything good in them. I just don't get it.
When you are raised by government,
yeah, I suppose,
and
so.
you are indoctrinated to believe that it is to government that you must look for direction, for emotional support, for financial support, basically for every single need in your life.
Yeah.
If you're raised to look to government, then at some point you just assume that that's the way it is, and you live
Gen
your life
X.
that way.
We got on with it.
We did. Most of us, I should say. Most of us, yeah. Eric says the ratio is currently 100 likes to 1.3 thousand dislikes.
Dear. Which, when you consider this is the White House's channel, it's not a lot, is it? Either way, it's not a lot of people actually engaging.
In the very beginning of the Biden administration, like the first day, it was popping off.
Right.
But the ratios were so much worse than what it is now, dislikes over likes, that they disabled comments and they tried to get YouTube to disable the thumbs up and thumbs down. And when YouTube was talking about possibly removing that feature, this account is one of the accounts that prompted that.
Yeah. I know, it's all, not interested in tribalism. I'm interested in people working problems out. All of this is, we got the same crappy problem at home in the UK. Doesn't matter who's in power. They're all the same.
Yeah, the last thing that I'll mention on this stuff today is that because we're now in such a video call, virtual world centric environment, however you want to put it, so many of us are communicating face to face through video and cabling and fiber optic networks. But one of the things that you'll notice, if you know what to look for, is that people who are trying to sell you something, they're putting on this performance, they'll use a lot of the same mannerisms on camera that they would if they were, sitting across a table from you, right, in the same room. So if you notice Harris, when she was talking, she was leaning forward and she was moving her head like as if to bring home, this is really important. I'm feeling it in my whole body as I say it to you. I'm projecting it out to you. And yet, when you actually listen to it, you can see it for what it is. It is a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
When there's so much at stake in terms of our real ability to actually leapfrog over where
lots of movement going on there. Oh yes,
to leapfrog over where we've been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
all that the last however long they've been in office has been trying to leapfrog over legal impediments. It's been trying to circumvent what we call the checks and balances between the White House, the legislative branch of government, so the president, that's the executive branch of government, their administration, and then legislative, which is Congress, and then judicial, which is the Supreme Court. And they keep finding themselves very unhappy that these legal and judicial roadblocks keep slowing them down. And so lately, the past several months, the rhetoric has really ramped up about, like if state governors are standing in the way of them trying to push forcible vaccinations across the entire country, then Biden said, then they'll just get rid of what did he say?
Well, get them out of the way.
He'll get them out. He'll get those governors out of the way.
I don't think they can do that.
They're not supposed to.
I don't think they'll be able to do that.
Not supposed to be allowed to do that. Yeah, Past Master Dan says Florida and Texas. Yeah, those were 2 state governors he was specifically talking about.
Yeah, they want them gone because they're not towing the line, are they? They're not.
Yeah,
they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. I mean, we just had a COOF investigation done over here.
In your house?
No, in the government. And they're really showing up the government for cocking up, and the way that, you know, the equivalents in, say, places like Sweden, who nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, it just shows how much we cocked up.
Yeah, well, Sweden, they basically said, we're going to let this run its course just like any other virus. And we've dealt with pandemics before, and we did it successfully. And so we'll deal with this one the same way.
It protect the vulnerable and let everybody else get about their business, which is exactly what the WHO and most people were, you know, that was the plan. But for some reason, it suddenly changed. It was a perfect storm. We had an awful media. We have an awful media over here. You were exactly the same, and just, you know, stupid, silly ideas and people panicking instead of, you know, doing the right thing. And that's not to say that it isn't a nasty thing. I've had friends who have suffered. You suffered from it.
Yeah, you
know, it's a real thing. You know, and people need to protect themselves from it, but you also need to remember, you know, the actual real numbers on it, and how many people actually die or are taken down.
Yeah, and all of that.
It speaks to a wider problem with governments.
Yeah,
it's not just about that. It's a bigger thing than that.
Yeah, and propaganda being a tool used to emotionally manipulate people through storytelling, and so.
Yeah. Oh, there are a lot of stories told in our media over the last 2 years.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've tried to do with this channel, and I want to do a better job of it in the future, is to talk about the power that storytelling has it has for the entire existence of humanity, and it will continue today and into the future, regardless of whether we're, you know, reading print on paper, or it's only digital, or it's telling stories around the campfire, or whatever. You know, things have been painted on a cave wall, painted on a kid's bedroom. I mean, the fact is that it's part of the human condition to relate to one another through stories. So as things have been really crazy the last couple of years and look like they're going to continue down that road and maybe get crazier, one of the things that I think is important to understand is that a lot of the confusion that is being produced by so-called experts and so-called leaders is the fact that they are using stories to try to emotionally manipulate people to feel whatever it is they want those people to feel for whatever purposes that the propagandists have. But if people are aware of it, then they can identify it, see it for what it is, and then just continue to think their own thoughts and express their own views.
Just remain critical thought, you know, in critical thought, remain aware. And, you should be fine. But it's don't get sucked up into this, into the stories that they tell you.
Right.
But on a plus note, we are, like you say, we are telling our own stories, and there's lots of really good ones about at the moment. I'm we're at the 14th, so I'm going to go pledge to Carl's book next week.
Oh, nice.
Chubb's book next week.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. There's so many quality creators out there at the moment. I spoke to another couple of people early on today, and they're actually on Kickstarter, but their projects were superb. And it's just great to see. And I think that's the way that you beat this, is by staying in communication with people, and storytelling is the way to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's our show, everybody.
I can show you a piece of artwork if you like.
Oh, great!
Do something positive.
Absolutely.
Because we've had a bit of fun with the adverts, but it got a bit of a downer there at the end with the silly governments hate governments.
Yeah, I didn't know you had.
There you go.
Something to show. Nice. He's a big boy.
He's a large lad. Yes, there she is. There you go. That one's literally just off the. I finished that just before I got on call with you. So there you go.
Nice.
Artwork in action.
Well, thank you for the show and tell. Appreciate that.
Antoine just turned up right at the end there.
Yeah.
Hello, Antoine.
It's yeah, like you said, when it comes to politics, it's a bit of a downer.
Yeah.
But the good news is there's always some people who are jumping into the fray when it comes to politics. And so one of the things that you may notice is the ones who become successful when the odds are stacked against them, they're good storytellers.
Yeah, exactly.
They know how to communicate with people and do it very well. Okay, everybody, that really is the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it very much. And we hope that you guys have a good week. As far as next week is concerned, I'll have to check the calendar. My kids are off of school for autumn break. I can't remember if it's next week or the week after. So if I have to cancel the show, I'll let people know through Twitter. And hope everybody goes out to make a great day. And we'll see you again next week.
Let's get out of here together.
After all, tomorrow is another day.
What a woman.
Don't let authority stop you from doing what you love. You are in